My name is Anna Carter, and what I'm about to share changed my life forever. Before I tell you about the profound revelations Jesus gave me about what happens after death, I need you to understand that every word of this testimony is true. What I experienced wasn't a dream or a hallucination. It felt more real than anything I've ever known in my life on Earth. It all started on a seemingly ordinary Thursday morning in October. I was driving to work like I had done countless times before. The autumn colors were just beginning to peak, and I remember thinking about how I needed to clean up the leaves in my yard that weekend. That was the last mundane thought I had before everything changed. Moments later, I found out that a drunk driver had run a red light, slamming into my car at full speed. The impact was catastrophic, flipping my car multiple times until it came to rest on its roof. The first responders later told my family that they hadn't expected anyone to survive the wreckage. And they were right, technically I didn't survive. At the scene, I was declared dead. For 29 minutes, my heart had stopped, and during that time, I experienced something that I have been called to share with you today. What Jesus revealed to me about the afterlife completely transformed the way I see life, death, and eternity. At the moment of impact, everything went dark. But almost immediately, I found myself more awake and aware than I'd ever been. The pain was gone, and I felt as if I was weightless, detached from my broken body. I could see myself lying amidst the wreckage while paramedics worked tirelessly to revive me. Their words were crystal clear, even though I was floating far above them. "No pulse," one of them said urgently. "Let's start compressions." I wanted to reassure them that I was fine, but I couldn't. I couldn't speak or move. And that's when I noticed a light. It started as a small, distant glimmer, like a star, but it quickly grew into a radiant, encompassing brilliance. This light wasn't like anything on Earth. It was warm, pure, and filled with an indescribable love. I felt drawn to it, moving through what seemed like a tunnel of vibrant, swirling patterns. This wasn't the kind of tunnel I had heard described in other near-death experiences. This was alive, pulsating with purpose and energy. I could sense countless presences all around me, moving with divine intention. As I traveled further, I began to hear a song, a melody so beautiful and intricate that it felt both familiar and new. It was as if the music had always been within me, but I was hearing it clearly for the first time. Then, without warning, I arrived in a place of unimaginable light. This light wasn't blinding but all-encompassing, radiating peace and love. Standing in that light was Jesus Christ. I knew him instantly, not because of an image or painting I had seen before, but because my entire being recognized him as my Creator and Savior. His presence was overwhelming yet comforting, like standing before an endless ocean that fills you with awe but also makes you feel safe. His eyes held an unfathomable love, and when he smiled at me, I felt every doubt and question I'd ever had about my worth dissolve. "Welcome, Anna," he said, his voice resonating through me. "There is much I need to show you." What followed was a series of revelations that I've been entrusted to share with the world. Jesus showed me what the souls of the departed are truly doing right now. It's nothing like what most people imagine. He gestured, and suddenly I saw a vast spiritual realm unlike anything I'd ever conceived. In this realm, countless souls were engaged in purposeful activity. Each one has a role in God's divine plan, Jesus explained. I saw souls interceding for people still on Earth. They were deeply aware of the struggles their loved ones and even strangers faced, actively praying and working to impact the physical world. Not in the ways people often think, but in profound spiritual ways. They don't linger in homes or haunt the living, Jesus clarified. Their work is far greater. I witnessed souls acting as guides for others who had recently crossed over, gently helping them transition into this new reality. Others were involved in what seemed like learning, studying deeper truths about God's creation and His divine purposes. Some were even helping in the preparation of a new heaven and earth, a concept far beyond human comprehension. What struck me most was the sense of order and purpose in everything. This wasn't a place of eternal rest as in idleness. It was a realm alive with joyful work, filled with meaning and service to God's kingdom. Then Jesus showed me something extraordinary. I saw souls participating in what he called the great chorus of creation. They were part of an immense harmony, intricately woven into the very fabric of reality itself. Their worship wasn't merely singing. It was an integral element of how God's universe functions. Many on earth think of heaven as an ending, Jesus explained, but it's actually a beginning. What you're witnessing is active participation in my ongoing work of redemption and creation. Then he showed me something that deeply moved me. I saw souls who had recently arrived in heaven, but were struggling to embrace their new reality because of the intense grief of their loved ones on earth. "Watch," Jesus said, directing my attention to a particular scene. I saw a woman who had passed away not long ago. She was radiant, glowing with the light of heaven, but her gaze kept turning back toward earth with visible concern. Jesus explained that her family's overwhelming grief was affecting her, even in heaven. They think they honor her memory with their unending sorrow, he said gently, but they don't realize it's making her transition harder. She has important work to do here, and their inability to accept God's timing and plan creates a kind of spiritual interference. This revelation was profound. Excessive grief on earth, when it becomes consuming and resistant to God's will, can actually hinder a loved one's heavenly work. Jesus clarified that mourning is natural and healthy, but there is a fine line between honoring someone's memory and being consumed by loss. Then he revealed something even more extraordinary: how the prayers of people on earth interact with the work being done in heaven. I saw streams of light, rising from earth like luminous rivers, joining with the activities of the souls in heaven in ways beyond human comprehension. Every sincere prayer, Jesus said, becomes part of the great work here. Nothing is wasted and nothing is lost. He showed me how souls in heaven could see the broader scope of God's plan, understanding why some prayers are answered differently than expected. These souls work to channel God's grace in ways that align with His ultimate purposes. This is why it's so important for those on earth to understand, Jesus said. Your loved ones aren't gone, they've been promoted. They are doing essential work in my kingdom. Then I witnessed something breathtaking: the intricate mechanics of how heaven and earth interact. It was as if I were seeing behind the curtain of reality itself. Angels and souls work together in perfect unity, carrying out God's commands with joy and precision. What astonished me most was how dynamic and active it all was. Heaven wasn't a place of passive rest, but a realm of purpose, growth, and continuous praise. Every soul had a role, a divine assignment perfectly aligned with God's grand design. However, Jesus expressed concern over a growing deception on earth. Many are being misled about the afterlife, he said, his voice a blend of compassion and authority. Some seek to contact the dead through forbidden practices, not understanding that the souls here are engaged in my work, not waiting to be summoned by the living. He showed me how attempts to reach out to the dead through mediums and psychics open dangerous doors to dark spiritual forces. The souls in heaven, he explained, only communicate with the living in ways I authorize, always in accordance with my will and word. Tell them, he instructed me, that their loved ones are not lost or aimless. They are here with me, fulfilling purposes far greater than anything they did on earth. Jesus also revealed how souls in heaven retain their individuality. They don't lose their identities or become faceless entities. Instead, they become the truest version of themselves, perfected in Christ, free from sin and limitation. He explained that while souls in heaven are aware of the passage of time on earth, they experience it differently. They understand and observe earthly events, especially when connected to their heavenly assignments. Many worry that their loved ones are missing important moments, Jesus said, but they don't realize that those in heaven experience time from an eternal perspective. Nothing is truly missed, It's just experienced differently. I saw souls celebrating earthly milestones with heavenly joy, but always in perfect alignment with God's will. Their participation in these events was profound, yet far beyond how we might imagine it. Then Jesus showed me something deeply moving: how the prayers and worship of people on earth create what he called windows of glory, moments where heaven's reality touches earth. I saw how genuine prayer and worship formed supernatural connections between the two realms. This is why corporate worship is so vital, Jesus said. When my people gather to praise me, they create opportunities for heaven's reality to influence earth in extraordinary ways. He showed me how the souls in heaven sometimes join in these moments of worship, their praise blending with that of the church on earth, in a way that strengthened the very structure of reality. Finally, he revealed what he called the Great Preparation. I saw countless souls engaged in tasks that seemed beyond human comprehension, contributing to the creation of the new heaven and new earth. Each soul's work was perfectly suited to their transformation through Christ. Some appeared to be involved in grand designs, cosmic architecture, while others prepared welcoming places for souls yet to arrive. Many think heaven is about receiving rewards or resting, Jesus said. While there is rest and joy in me, the greatest fulfillment here comes from participating in my ongoing work of creation and redemption. In heaven, every soul finds perfect joy in their divine assignments, free from confusion, competition, or jealousy. They are united in purpose, glorifying God with every act, as they continue to play their part in His eternal plan. The frustration and limitations often associated with work on earth were absent. Every assignment was an opportunity to express love for God and actively contribute to His eternal purposes. I saw how souls in heaven lived in perfect awareness of God's presence while fulfilling their tasks. Unlike on earth, where work can distract us from God, their actions were done in constant worship and communion with Him. Jesus then revealed something extraordinary: how the prayers of Christians on earth for those who are lost create unique opportunities for heaven's influence. I saw these prayers as streams of radiant light, which the souls in heaven could help guide toward their intended recipients. This is why persistent prayer matters, Jesus explained. It creates pathways for my grace to flow freely. I also saw how the souls in heaven rejoiced with unparalleled joy whenever someone on earth turned to Christ. They participated in what Jesus called the great celebration every time a lost soul was saved. As our journey continued, Jesus showed me something that profoundly moved me: how the souls in heaven achieve perfect harmony between their individual tasks and their collective worship. Unlike on earth, where we struggle to balance work and devotion, these souls experience their work as an act of worship and their worship as fulfilling work. This is how I designed humanity to live, Jesus said, in perfect unity between purpose and praise. There was no boredom or fatigue in heaven. The joy they found in their tasks never faded, and their ability to perceive and participate in God's plan was unending. Jesus then showed me how the souls prayed for and supported one another in their assignments. Even without sin or limitation, they continued to encourage and celebrate one another's roles. This is perfect community, Jesus said, the fulfillment of what my church on earth strives to be. I also saw souls who had known each other on earth working together in heaven, their relationships now transformed and perfected by God's love. At the same time, there were remarkable collaborations between souls who had lived in entirely different times and places on earth. Jesus revealed how every moment of earthly life, every trial, every joy, every experience, was woven into their eternal assignments, displaying God's flawless wisdom. Nothing is wasted, Jesus said. Every moment has eternal significance. I saw souls who had endured immense suffering on earth now fully understanding the divine purpose behind their trials. Many of their heavenly roles involved using their experiences to channel God's comfort to those still suffering on earth. Their pain had been transformed into something profoundly meaningful, a testament to God's redemptive power. As our time drew to a close, Jesus gave me a clear mission. Tell them, he said, that their loved ones are not lost, not floating aimlessly, not asleep until the resurrection. They are alive, more vibrant and purposeful than ever, engaged in my kingdom work and experiencing a joy beyond human understanding. He emphasized that while souls in heaven are aware of events on earth, they view them through the lens of eternity. Their focus is not on temporary earthly matters, but on the eternal consequences of choices made on earth. Tell them to live with heaven in mind, Jesus instructed. Every act of obedience, every decision to trust me, prepares them for their eternal assignments. Before I was sent back, Jesus gave me a glimpse of the future, a moment when heaven and earth will be fully united. The glory of what I saw was indescribable, filling me with an unshakable hope and purpose. What you've seen is only a small glimpse of what I have prepared for those who love me, Jesus said. The greatest wonders are yet to come. With those words, I felt myself being drawn back through the tunnel of light. Suddenly, I became aware of pain and the sounds of medical equipment. I heard voices saying, "She's back. We've got a pulse." When I opened my eyes, I was in an ambulance surrounded by paramedics. Later, the doctors called my recovery miraculous, and it truly was. But the real miracle was the revelation I had been given during those minutes. Since that day, my understanding of death, heaven, and eternity has been transformed. I no longer fear death. I know that God has left me here to share what I've seen, to help others understand the glorious reality that awaits those who trust in Jesus. When people ask if I was afraid to die, I tell them the truth. The only thing that scares me now is the thought of people living their lives without knowing what I've experienced. Heaven is not a place of passive rest. It's a realm of joy, purpose, and active participation in God's eternal plan. I pray this testimony brings comfort to those grieving and inspiration to those searching for their purpose. Remember, every moment of life is preparation for your eternal role. Live with that knowledge and let it transform how you view life and death. Heaven is real, Jesus is real, and the work being done there is more magnificent than anything we can imagine. Our loved ones aren't lost. They've been promoted to higher service in God's kingdom. If we remain faithful, one day we will join them in that glorious work. Until then, let us live with heaven in our hearts, knowing that the greatest wonders are still to come.